Welcome back, Sports Nation and my champions. As far as the expected game plans went, we'll first talk about the Kansas City Chiefs here. As far as making the adjustments and picking them apart, that didn't really happen. I'll get into a little bit more detail once we go over the grades. As far as rattling Tom Brady, that also didn't happen. They only got one sack and two quarterback hits on him. And then the biggest one of all, compensating for those losses on the offensive line. They did not do a very good job at all on that, and I think that was the key to this game. As far as the sleepers, Mecole Hardman only had 2 catches for 4 yards. He did have 6 targets, but the Kansas City offense was very stymied in the whole game, so of course that would affect his chances of being a good sleeper. And on the other side, it seemed that everything went the Bucs' way, including minimizing Tyreek Hill. Now, he did have 7 catches for 73 yards, but it's a far cry from the 269 and 3 touchdowns he had in their last meeting. As far as the exploiting the offensive tackles, they did just that, and that's the reason why I put Shaq Barrett on the thumbnail. And he was saying that one of the reserve tackles was talking smack to him, and he just called him a scrub, and he pretty much was a scrub in the game. And I'll get a little bit more into detail on that in the grades as well. And then the Raider blueprint. I talked about that in the last video, where the Raider game where they beat the Chiefs, they had the Chiefs offense punt 5 times, and the 2 games both were competitive. They had, as far as time of possession went, they had 28 minutes and 35 minutes respectively. And in this game, the Chiefs punted 3 times in the first half, but they were so far behind in the second half, they did turn the ball over twice on downs. And Tampa had a total of 31 minutes as far as time of possession, so it matched pretty well with that. As far as the sleeper, Devin White had another big game. He had 12 total tackles and 2 for loss. He also was involved, if you look at the thumbnail, on that sack with Ndamukong Suh, but he didn't get an official half a sack for that. I think Suh and the other player did, so there were 3 on there. If you're new to the channel and not familiar with my game reviews, this is how I do it. I have a report card here, and I break it down by offense, defense, special teams, and then the coaching, both in their preparation beforehand and execution during the game and adjustments. And then I give a final grade for each team. We'll start with the Chiefs offense here, and I gave the run offense a B grade in and of itself. Clyde Edwards-Helaire and Mahomes were pretty effective when used. I think Mahomes was more of a scrambling than directed runs, but still, he still had 33 yards. Clyde Edwards-Helaire had 9 carries for 64 yards. It's a 7.1 yards per carry average. The problem with that is they fell behind early and they had to pass a lot more. And we'll get to that here. As far as the pass offense, I had to give him an F. I know Mahomes had 270 yards total. He did have 2 interceptions, no touchdowns. And the big thing was the pass protection. It was just terrible. The offensive line, that's why I gave them an F mostly. And, both sides, and including the interior, and Ndamukong Suh was breaking through as well. So not a big showing for the Chiefs, obviously, with this juggernaut offense. They pretty much got shut down. And that's why I gave them an F here as far as total offense. Yeah, they're basically taken out of their game. Their game plan is to pass, pick you apart, do some running here and there, some scrambling by Mahomes. He does his magic, and it just was not happening today with that defense. As far as the Chiefs defense goes, the run defense, it was pretty okay early on when the game was pretty competitive, but once the game kind of got out of hand, they were basically getting steamrolled. They had one possession. It looked like Tampa just ran the ball 5, 6, 7, 8 times in a row, and they were getting 4, 6, 8 yards a clip, just first down after first down, burning the clock, just running them over. So in that instance, they did not step up when needed there, and I gave them a D on that. The pass defense wasn't so bad except for the penalties. And I know I would say the Mike Evans one, or the one on when Mike Evans fell, I would question that one. But like the one, the honey badger in the end zone, he was making contact with him. You got to make that call. That was past 5 yards. I didn't have an issue with that, and it was just kind of like a breakdown from there. You could tell they kind of lost their cool. They kind of got off their game, and it kind of suffered. But they weren't blown away with Tom Brady. He only had like 220 yards in the game, but again, those penalties were hurting them. So total defense, I gave him a D. I didn't give him an F. I think they did fair but well, much better than the offense did. But like I said, they did no favors for him. They had some stops, but nothing landmark, no turnovers, and they just kind of fell in suit. I think Casey got punched in the mouth, and they kind of regressed from there. As far as the special teams, I had to give him a D because that rookie punter Townsend shanked that punt uh, early in the game when it was still competitive. Gave Tampa good field position, and they cashed in on it. As far as getting punched in the mouth, I gave the coaching staff an F, both in the preparation and the in-game execution. It seemed that there was no real plan for compensating for the loss of both tackles. Like I said, I thought they would go and maybe do some separate formations, some rollouts, keep some extra players back. I didn't see much, and whatever they planned was not effective. And when it was not effective, there was no real adjustments to that. Like I said, it seemed that Mahomes was just reverted back to sandlot football. He'd drop back and either try to do a dump off if that was open, or he would just kind of heave ho and dump it deep. And most of the time, those got batted down anyway. And what can I say? I mean, the final grade has to be an F. More, I would say, more so on the offense than the defense and the coaching, because obviously it seemed that Tampa's defense matched well with them and were stopping them, and they had no real answers on that. And then even with that, when on the defensive side of the ball, there was no real stops, no big plays. They did punt a couple times, Tampa did, but nothing of note. And you could tell that as the game was getting out of hand, the momentum shifted, and Casey was kind of basically out of it at that point. And conversely, I mean, Tampa basically had their way on both sides of the ball. Let's talk about the run offense first, and I gave it an A plus, and especially I talked about that earlier with the run defense of KC. That 1-2 combo of Fournette and Ronald Jones just basically took over. Once the game was set, and pretty much the outcome, you knew the outcome was pretty much set there, and they had the game in hand. They kind of dominated and just ran all over them. And I like the 1-2 punch because Fournette's more of a power guy, and Ronald Jones is more of a kind of a speed, drill down kind of a guy. So, I had to give them an A plus on that. As far as the pass offense, B plus. Nothing spectacular to give them an A. Tom Brady did well. I mean, he took what the defense gave him. I think, especially later in the game, later stages, the middle was exploited, especially with Gronk. He had a big game. Uh, I wouldn't call it an outstanding, like an AA plus game, but a good game, B plus. And then overall, I give it an A because, as I said before, in the Raiders' blueprint, they dominated time of possession. As far as play calling goes, it was pretty even run to pass. It was 29 pass plays and 33 run plays. Obviously, they had the game in hand. They're going to run more, but still, it was pretty balanced. You could kind of see that. And, overall, an A for the offense. As far as the defense goes, maybe I'm grading a little too harshly. I was not real impressed with the run defense on the Bucs. I mean, they came in rated number one as far as yardage goes, and I did not really see that. I gave them a C. It wasn't terrible, but it wasn't what I thought it would be. Especially, even when KC would try to run the ball, kind of offset it here and there, uh, not a whole lot of good stops there. Gave him an average grade. Obviously, the pass defense, A plus. It's kind of like a Christmas story, where with Ralphie, you give him A plus plus. I mean, I wouldn't have enough room to have enough pluses here for them. Both on the pass rush side, getting to the quarterback, stifling Mahomes. He had a total of 3 sacks. I mean, that's good for Mahomes because he's I would say he's the second best scrambler next to Lamar Jackson. But they had 10 quarterback hits as well, so they outstanding job. And then the coverage was pretty good for the most part, especially deep. And Tyreek Hill didn't burn them, no touchdowns. He got 73 yards. Uh, Travis Kelsey got 110 yards. A lot of that was in the middle, kind of dump offs, but nothing big, nothing to hurt them. And of course, you got to give them an A plus because no touchdowns, no touchdowns allowed to the best passing team in the league. As far as special teams, the only real knock I could give them was that the punting average was relatively low. It was only about 35 yards. I looked back. There wasn't any instances of touchbacks or what have you. I think part of that low punt average, though, was they were trying to kick away from Hill and Hardman and Pringle, their other returner. So maybe that had to play. I mean, it worked. Obviously, KC didn't really do anything in special teams, return game. But I couldn't give them an A. Obviously, they were 4 for 4 with extra points. They kicked 1 field goal, 1 for 1. No issues there. As far as the preparation, Todd Bowles, defensive coordinator, probably remember him as a head coach at the Jets at one time. He obviously had them ready. I think the mismatch was exploited very well, and not only with the tackles, like I said before, the interior pass rush was a big factor as well. And I think that defense all the way around the rush and the pass coverage itself was outstanding, and that has a lot to do with this guy right here. As far as execution, I give it a B. The in-game adjustments. To me, the only knock I had was it seemed that Kelsey was getting wide open, and I don't mean like he beat a guy and made a good play. There were plays where it literally looked like nobody was on him. Maybe some confusion there in the middle of the field. It didn't really hurt them. I mean, there was 10, 15-yard gains, but still, I couldn't give him an A for that because it kind of happened frequently, and I didn't see really an adjustment made for that. But overall, very well. Obviously, I got to give them an A plus. I mean, like I said, they had a balanced offense and a dominating defense, and that was the formula needed to beat this team, the Chiefs. The Chiefs have been kind of a juggernaut the last couple of years with Mahomes, and this is pretty much the formula that's not only set, I think first with those Raider games, but here kind of a stamp here with I would say the superior defensive talent versus the Raiders here with Tampa, that other teams are going to be looking for to knock off the Chiefs next year as well. As always, if you enjoyed this video, give it a thumbs up, like, share, and subscribe. Leave your comments below. I'm looking forward to hearing them and what you thought about this game. Thanks for watching and supporting this channel.